Well, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you, sir.
Likewise, nice of you to come up to Windermere.
It's beautiful on such a lovely day. And we just wanted to ask you, how has the camp been going so far in preparation with the September the 23rd fight with Joseph Parker for the WBO Heavyweight Championship of the World?
Yeah, so far so good. Everything's been going very well. It's all on target. The training's it's all planned out, what we do, and it's going. It's going to plan. Everything's going very, very well.
How long do you usually start your camps in terms of, is there like a set time that you prefer to have a length for a camp, or does that change?
8 weeks.
8 weeks.
8 weeks out. 8 to 10 weeks.
Grant, and are you doing anything different for this particular fight than you would do normally, or is there like a set routine that you would always do for a sort of an upcoming fight?
We're doing a lot different in this, as far as outdoor training is concerned, and just certain things like that. But the main thing is the training is brutal, so it's on the night. Look, train hard, fight easy. So it's very intense out here.
So but the conditions must help with the good clean air, etc. And I guess less distractions, maybe being away from.
You know, this is it. You know, it's beautiful. You know, it makes you not want to pick up a telephone. It's just nice to relax at the scenery. People's very laid back here. You know, crime rate's very low. It's a very nice place to be, and it's beautiful scenery around here.
Fantastic. And I just wanted to ask, you're facing, Hughie's facing Joseph Parker in his upcoming bout, and Parker is the current heavyweight champion of the world. Is there anything in Parker's game that you've seen that Hughie can exploit to his advantage on the night? Are there any sort of deficiencies or holes in Parker's game?
I think every fighter's got holes in the game. It's just if the fighter's good enough to exploit them. And I've always said Parker's a good fighter. You know, he looks fairly complete to me. He's got all the right attributes, and what he does well. So, you know, Hughie's got to raise his game to beat somebody like Parker, but I believe he can.
Fantastic. I mean, we watched a lot of footage that was available to us for both Parker and Hughie, and we noticed that perhaps Hughie has fantastic foot movement, and he's really, really good and mobile for a heavyweight. And I thought Joseph Parker sometimes tends to struggle with his sort of foot movement. He sort of seems to want to plant his feet before he can throw his combinations, and is sort of the foot movement going to be a factor in terms of is Hughie going to box rather than engage with Joseph, because that may be the smarter strategy?
I think we've got a few hidden surprises there, and you know, I think Parker's team are going to find out on the night. It's nothing what they've trained for.
Fantastic. And I wanted to also ask, in terms of having home advantage fighting in Manchester, is that going to be a sort of a big advantage in terms of the crowd?
You know, of course it is. It's to have the home crowd behind you is a fantastic thing. You know, it's nice to fight in front of the home fans. So Hughie's, you know, don't get me wrong, he's fought in countries all over the world. You know, as an amateur, he won the World Championships in Armenia. He's well travelled. So
that is really far away. I mean, yes, I've been.
And he's boxed in New York, Madison Square Garden, in his second pro fight. So he's used to big crowds, he's used to big events, and he's been on world card undercards anyway. So it doesn't really matter to him. But as far as the fan base goes, it will be great to be in his hometown.
Of course, we hope that the support will sort of turn out and give him the full support on the night.
Exactly.
Just want to ask also. When Hughie's victorious, would he be in a position to give Joseph Parker a rematch, or would that not be sort of in the consideration in terms of would you prefer to sort of move on to a different fight after that?
Well, obviously we're not looking past Parker. He's a difficult fight, but should Hughie come through that fight, no, Parker won't be next. You know, we'll look at other fights.
There are the options out there,
yeah,
I'd imagine.
And I'd imagine the same as what Hughie would have to do. Either fighter that loses will have to work their way back into that position, so that's just where it's at.
Right.
But what you're asking is, we've got no rematch contract now.
Oh, right, there is no actual official clause, there is no rematch.
Whoever wins this fight moves on.
Moves on and then takes the belt. Fantastic. And I just wanted to say, in terms of any possible fights in the future away from the UK, like in the States, etc., because I was aware that, let's say, Dillian White is sort of moving to the States for his next fight, to sort of maybe raise his profile across the pond, etc. So if Hughie does come through this fight, would he be open to the idea of maybe fighting away, or does it make more sense to sort of fight at home in front of your sort of home?
It's something that we haven't discussed. As far as I'm concerned, we've done all the travelling. and I've got visa issues going into the States anyway
Oh, I see.
because of my past. So, you know, it's unlikely, not unless that visa issue got resolved. So, you know, if Hughie is fortunate enough to lift this belt, then, you know, we'll defend. His first defence will be in Manchester
It'll be
again.
at home. That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
as a fan.
Manchester or London anyway. It'll be, all of his fights really need to be in the UK. No reason for Hughie to go abroad.
Grand. And we just wanted to also ask: is his health all good? No injuries, etc. No issues in the camp as such.
Yeah, he's carrying no injuries whatsoever. He's in a fantastic place, and this is his time. You know, he's 20. You know, he's been a very good amateur as well. Been boxing from a young kid.
Yeah, I guess he has the youth on his side. It is a young man's game as such, boxing in
Well, that's
the
it. So he's more than ready for his chance.
Fantastic. And we just also would like to ask you, how did you get into sort of training, and how did that happen?
That's a good question because I don't really know myself. I think only through family, you know, helping out my son originally, and it just came from there. So I enjoy doing it. I enjoy helping others, and especially helping me family get to scale the heights I believe they can scale to. So that's the main method behind it.
Knowing Hughie as well as you do, you're his father. What you would say, in your opinion, is sort of the biggest challenge in sort of training your own son versus training just sort of any other fighter?
It doesn't really matter. You just got to detach yourself and do a professional job. Because if you let emotions get in the way, and sometimes they do get in the way, you know, it's the same for me being a trainer and a father as well. I really have to step back and take a very how do you say, pragmatic view on it. You know, I have to really look at it in a professional manner and say, look, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, same as what I do the other fighters.
Fantastic, well, thank you very much. I just want to also ask, there's also another fighter we were very interested in, which is Billy Joe Saunders against Willie Monroe Jr. And if you had sort of any opinions on sort of Billy Joe's chances at sort of not only retaining that title, but sort of moving on and maybe possibly getting the winner of Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez.
Well, Billy Joe's in a good place at the moment. He seems to be training very well.
In Sheffield.
Yeah, I've always said Billy Joe's condition right. He takes a job serious. He's going to take some beating, and I think he's too good for Monroe.
Willie Monroe, yes.
Yeah, I think he'll come through that. The only sticky point with Billy Joe Saunders is his condition and taking things lightly. But I believe he's taking his fight very seriously, and I see him coming through, no problem.
Yeah, he's an incredibly talented fighter, same as I put James Toney. That James Toney also used to take things a bit lightly, but he was a superb fighter, great, really skilled fighter. And also, we couldn't sort of leave without asking about the whole debacle about McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather fight. Is that something that's good for boxing, bad for boxing, or?
For the boxing purists, it's a load of shit. For the Joe public, it's good.
Yes, I guess in terms of it sort of raises the profile because people are just talking about boxing in general, and hopefully people would be able to sort of tune in and then hopefully tune into other fights as well.
Yeah, boxing is another matter, you know. Same as in the cage, it's different to boxing. Boxers wouldn't have much of a chance in the cage because I've seen these cage fighters fight. They're very good. And McGregor's good at what he does, and Mayweather's good at what he does. But if we could all just cross over sports just like that and fight the elite, then
I guess it's apples and oranges. You can't ask Mo Farah to compete against Usain Bolt in a 100-meter dash. They're both excellent at what they do. But
exactly.
It's really hard to compare.
It's just it's a spectacle to see more than anything else.
I guess it's difficult to turn down that type of a payday. I would imagine that's probably what sort of drives the situation. I would imagine
it's good business, and McGregor's done his job. You know, he's to be commended. He's done nothing wrong, has he? It's going to be a very exciting fight. You got two young heavyweights. And the two unbeaten heavyweights.
It's a rarity when you see two sort of unbeaten be prepared to put their records on the line.
And there's no excuses because fighters are the next training camp. There's not going to be excuses. The better man will have won on the night.
On the night, that makes perfect sense.
That's the way it's going to be, and we look forward to that challenge.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
We'll look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
I'll probably see you at the fight.